Feel the cold air pressing against your skin as you sit in this silent room. Your room feels heavy and solid, surrounded by objects you have seen for years. You look at your hands and see flesh, but the electricity beneath is shifting. You believe you are walking through a world that exists outside of you. This is the first lie that keeps your power locked in a cage of reaction. Every morning, you wake up to the same walls because your mind expects them. You think you are seeing the truth, but you are only seeing a memory. Your life is a feedback loop of recognition, repeating the same gray tones. You want change, yet you nourish the same internal patterns every single hour. The weight in your chest is not anxiety, it is your soul outgrowing its container. Most people wait for a solar flash to save them from their own creation. They look at the sky while the projector is humming inside their own marrow. You feel like a secondary character in a movie you are currently filming. Why do you still ask for permission to change the script? You search for evidence of success before you allow the feeling of it. This is the logic of a prisoner, not the authority of a master. Look at your reflection. Is that a body or a temporary density shaped by your persistent attention? You complain about the reflection while holding the same pose in the mirror. This is the definition of a closed circuit of frustration. Energy is not a mysterious force you need to hunt in the Ajiwa woods. It is the raw data of your own consciousness seeking a form. Your nervous system is an antenna currently tuned to the frequency of static. You listen to the noise of the world and wonder why your silence is loud. Reaction is the anesthesia that prevents you from noticing the architect. Every time you say, "I am stuck," you issue a command to the hologram. The universe doesn't judge. It simply obeys your most frequent broadcast. You are currently succeeding at being exactly who you think you are. If your reality is stagnant, it is because your focus is a fossil. Let that sink in for a moment. You believe your eyes are windows, but they are actually projectors. Your brain is a processor of possibilities, choosing the most familiar ones. Safety is the trap the ego uses to keep you in the basement. You fear the light because the light requires you to lose your excuses. What would you be without your list of grievances and your past? That emptiness is the 0 point of all creative potential. Most individuals spend lifetimes fixing the screen instead of the lens. You are trying to move the furniture in a dream you haven't woken up from. Wake up. Notice the rhythm of your breath as it enters. This density. This is the only bridge between the infinite and the form. You are a bioelectric transmitter currently operating at half its voltage. This transmission is a recalibration of your internal circuitry. It is not about knowing more, it is about seeing differently. Look at your worries. Are they facts? Or just echoes of a script you memorized eons ago? The Arcturian perspective is not a theory, it is a structural correction. We see your efforts to manifest from a place of deep desperation. Desperation is a signal of lack that the field amplifies instantly. You cannot beg for abundance while your skin is crawling with scarcity. The world is a mirror of your coherence, not your desires. Coherence is the state where the word and the vibration are one. Why do you still look for validation from a dying system? The matrix of reaction is collapsing, yet you still check the headlines. You are looking for stability in the middle of a burning theater. The only stable ground is the awareness that is observing the flame. You are that awareness. Everything else is a temporary arrangement of starlight and shadow. Pause. Feel the tingling in your palms right now. This is the energy of your sovereignty returning to its source. You have been a host for stories that were never yours to tell. Now you are being asked to clear the table. The divergence is happening in your marrow before it happens in the sky. You feel a strange pressure behind your eyes. Your DNA is a library of light currently receiving a new index. You are not losing your mind. You are losing your limitations. This is a surgical removal of the old human software. Do not fight the process. Surrender is not defeat. It is the total abandonment of resistance. Every micro-choice you make today is a brick in your new reality. How do you hold your posture when you are alone? That is your true signature. The universe responds to the you that no one else sees. You are the variables in an equation that is already reaching its peak. Stop asking when the change will come. It comes when you stop preventing it with your frantic preparation. Preparation is often just a sophisticated form of delay. You are already ready. You have always been ready. The corridors of time are opening for those who can stand still. Listen to the silence again. Even as you hear these words, you are already trying to interpret them through your old filters of doubt and fear. It is important to realize that what we call the external world is just a readout of your internal state. This doesn't happen in the clouds or through some distant force. It begins as a shift in your own attention. What most people think of as a physical reality is actually a specific pattern of consciousness that has become a habit. Without noticing how you focus, you will continue to react to your own projections as if they were solid facts. The power you seek is not about fixing your life, but about reorganizing the mind that perceives it. When you change the lens, the entire holographic display is forced to adjust its geometry. This is the first step toward reclaiming your role as the architect of your existence. Have you ever felt that quiet, persistent weight in your chest that whispers the world is not quite what it seems? It is not anxiety or a failure of your mind. It is a direct signal that your soul knows a truth your mind hasn't identified yet. There is a specific game being played in layers the average person will never perceive or understand, involving your frequency, your internal focus, and the role you were designed to fulfill in this transition. If you have felt that strange longing or the silent certainty that there is more, you are not a mere observer but a central participant in a reorganization of reality. Because of this, I have prepared a dedicated digital book for you to download, The Arcturian Quantum Portal Mystery, Activating the Hidden Powers of Your Soul. This material is not just content, it is a structural map for the internal architecture of your awakening, revealing the rules they never told you and what entities have revealed about our current timeline. I prepared this specifically for those who are ready to go far beyond the ordinary answers that society offers, and you can find the access link in the first pinned comment below this video. I must warn you, this type of insight rarely stays available for long, because what is written in these pages challenges the narratives that many powerful interests want to keep intact at any cost. There have been attempts to silence this specific knowledge before, so do not wait for a perfect time. The moment is now, because you did not reach this text by accident. Download it now, read with an open spirit, and if your inner truth recognizes these codes, leave a comment with one word: awake. The signature of a consciousness that was ready before the mind even noticed the shift. That shift is happening right now, even in the subtle movement of your eyes across this screen. You have taken a step toward the truth, but the old manager of your mind is already planning its counterattack. This is where the real work begins, deep beneath the layers of your intellectual agreement. Most of you believe that spiritual progress is a ladder you climb toward the stars, but in reality, it is a surgical dismantling of the heavy weights you call responsible behavior. You are currently being held back by a sophisticated system of internal sabotage that disguises itself as safety. Think about your morning routine, the way you check your phone for problems before you even breathe. You call this staying informed or being careful. We call it a ritual of recurring lack. You are reinforcing the same gray world every single hour when you search for a threat. Notice the tightness in your shoulders when you think about your finances or your health. Your mind tells you that this tension is caring, that it is the fuel for your solutions. But tension is a signal of resistance to the very abundance you claim to seek. You are trying to manifest prosperity while your body is screaming that the world is dangerous. This is the hidden contradiction that cancels your most powerful affirmations. You spend an hour visualizing gold and 12 hours rehearsing the logic of copper. The universe does not hear your prayers. It only hears the frequency of your habitual reactions. Your micro-behaviors are the real instruction manual you provide to the quantum field. Every time you explain your struggles to a friend, you are cementing the geometry of that struggle. You think you are processing, but you are really just narrating the thick walls of your prison. Listen to the silence behind my voice. In that silence, you can feel the manager of your mind trying to find a way to make this feel interesting rather than transformative. It wants to catalog this knowledge so it never has to apply the medicine. This is a subtle form of spiritual procrastination. If this frequency appeared for you, it is because your internal vibration has already reached a breaking point. Neither you nor the path that led you to this specific second are accidental. You have reached a stage where the old lies simply don't taste the same anymore. Why do you still defend the very limits that keep you small? You treat your fear like a sacred duty, a guard at the door of your heart. But the guard is not protecting you. It is preventing the arrival of your own sovereign light. Look at the way you handle small inconveniences. A delayed flight, a spilled glass, a late response. In these moments, your true frequency is revealed. Are you the source of the peace or a victim of the circumstance? Most of you choose the latter because victimhood provides a strange, heavy comfort. It allows you to avoid the terrifying responsibility of being an architect. You would rather be a well-informed prisoner than an uncertain master. This is the sabotage of the anxious manager within your nervous system. It thrives on the adrenaline of a crisis. It makes you feel productive while you are simply spinning in a circle of dread. Feel the palms of your hands right now. Is there a subtle heat beginning to pulse in your skin? This is the bioelectric response to the truth being spoken into your marrow. You have been trained to ignore your body's signals in favor of the mind's loud logic, but your body is the real bridge of your holographic reality. If your biology is tuned to emergency, your life will provide the emergencies required. You are not blocked by the stars. You are blocked by your own internal safety protocols. The solar flash you wait for is blocked by the fog of your own habitual reactions. Stop. Breathe into the space behind your eyes. Notice how the manager tries to pull your attention back to your to-do list. It tells you that this silence is a waste of time. It demands that you do something, anything, to maintain the illusion of control, but control is the ultimate anesthesia of the human spirit. It keeps you focused on the texture of the cage instead of the open door. You are currently rehearsing for a life that you no longer want to live. Every judgment you pass on others is a brick in the wall of your own limitation. You believe you are judging them, but you are only defining the boundaries of your own frequency. This is the irony of the spiritual seeker. You seek the infinite while meticulously counting the finite. There is a deep structure to this sabotage that most teachers never dare to touch. It is a logic that goes beyond simple thought into the very marrow of your identity. You have built a personality around the struggle, and now you don't know who you are without it. If all your problems vanished tonight, would you know how to breathe in the silence of success? Or would you immediately look for a new fire to put out? This is why the material I mentioned is so critical for the next phase of your transition. It provides the map to dismantle the architecture of the one who survives. Without this dismantling, any new abundance will only be used to fund a more expensive version of your current stress. You don't need a better life. You need to stop being the one who interprets life as a battle. Hear this clearly. The manager in your head is a fossil of a war that ended eons ago. It is still trying to save you from a tiger that turned into dust before you were born. You are living in a museum of ancient fears and calling it the world. This is the distortion of the human optic nerve. You see obstacles where there are only pliabilities. You see enemies where there are only reflections of your own divided heart. To move forward, you must be willing to be wrong about everything you think you know. You must be willing to let the you that is struggling die in this very second. This death is the only birth that matters. Are you ready for that degree of silence? Notice the subtle pressure in your solar plexus. That is the seat of your personal power, currently constricted by the habit of petitioning for help. You are still waiting for a savior, a sign, or a galactic decree to tell you it's okay, but the decree was issued the moment you chose to listen to this frequency. Your presence here is the only permission slip the universe requires. Most people will listen to this and return to their gray rituals by tomorrow morning. They will fall back into the hypnotic comfort of their familiar lack, but you can feel the cracks in the hologram. You can sense that the floor of your reality is not as solid as you were told. This uncertainty is not a threat, it is the beginning of your liberation. The sabotage is losing its grip because you are finally observing its mechanics. A shadow cannot survive the direct gaze of a conscious observer. When you see the manager for what it is, its voice becomes just another background noise. You are no longer the one who is reacting. You are the one who is watching the reaction. This distance is where your sovereignty lives. It is a quiet, unmoved center that does not need to shout to be powerful. We are moving now into the root of this entire display, your identity. Because the problem was never what you were doing. The problem is the person you continue to believe you are. And that version of you is about to become a memory. The version of you that once struggled is now a mere data point in a fading timeline. Identity is not a philosophy you study. It is the physical sensation of what you consider normal. It is the silent ground where you stand when no one is watching and when the world is quiet. Think of your identity as the invisible thermostat of your entire holographic reality. If you are set to lack, you will perceive every opportunity as a threat or a burden. You say you want abundance, but your body feels a deep, quiet comfort in the familiarity of debt. Notice the way you hold your shoulders when you talk about your dreams versus your chores. That shift in your posture is the true signature of who you believe you are in this density. There is a fundamental difference between desiring a reality and recognizing it as possible for yourself. Desire is a declaration of distance. It confirms that the thing you want is over there. Recognizing a state as possible is a structural collapse of that distance within your own marrow. You do not want the air you breathe, you simply inhabit the fact that it is provided for you. Your automatic reactions are the guardrails that keep your life within the same gray lines. When a bill arrives or a relationship shifts, notice the immediate frequency your system adopts. That reflex is the seat of your identity. The place your consciousness calls home. You are currently succeeding at being exactly who you think you are every single morning. The universe does not respond to what you ask for, it only responds to what you are. If your life feels like a repetitive script, it is because you are still reading from the same blueprint. But notice, the very fact that you are aware of this pattern means you already stand outside of it. You have reached a point of lucidity where the old excuses no longer have the power to soothe you. Listen, feel the space between your atoms. The old you was a responder to external stimuli, a ship tossed by the waves of collective drama. The new identity is the ocean itself, deep, unmoved, and containing all possibilities within its stillness. Manifestation is not about getting things, it is about providing the vibrational space for things to exist. If you are a vessel of lack, $1 million will only be 1,000,000 versions of your current stress. If you are a vessel of abundance, a single grain of sand is a testament to the infinite. Your familiarity with struggle is a frequency fence that you must now choose to walk through. Stop asking if you are worthy of a new reality. Worthiness is a human concept designed to keep you in a state of constant petition. The stars do not ask for permission to shine, they simply fulfill their nature. Your nature is to be the source of the broadcast, the light that decides what the shadows look like. Every time you choose to remain stable when the world demands reaction, you rewrite your DNA. You are teaching your nervous system that the old emergency signals are no longer valid for you. This is the cold, logical reorganization of your biology into a higher octave of operation. You did not arrive at this specific frequency by accident. Your field has been seeking this for eons. A single transmission is only a glimpse into the total architecture of your soul's return. To truly dismantle the habits of internal contradiction and seat your sovereignty, you need the full map. I have organized the complete structure of this awakening into a material prepared specifically for you. I invite you to download this material, which was prepared for the consciousness that realizes this video is only a partial activation. The Arcturian Quantum Portal Mystery. Activating the hidden powers of your soul. Within these pages, the logic of your true identity is laid out in a way that your mind can no longer sabotage. Without the complete internal protocols found there, the risk is simply slipping back into the hypnotic comfort of your old self. You will find the link to access your copy in the first pinned comment below this video. The window for this specific alignment is rare, and the cost of delay is the loss of the momentum you have built in this very moment. Read it with the eyes of the master you are becoming, and if your heart recognizes the truth of the path, leave the word desperto now. Look beyond the screen and feel the warmth in your solar plexus. The divergence is separating those who live by reflex from those who live by resonance. You have already chosen resonance, or you would have turned away long ago. Now, the only task left is to stop arguing for your limitations. Let the old story of trying fall into the dust of a forgotten timeline. You are not trying to wake up, you are the waking. You are not trying to manifest, you are the manifestation in progress. Every breath you take in this state is a command to the quantum field. The latency is dissolving, and your internal logic is becoming the external law. Wait, notice the tingling in your palms. Identity is the set of permissions you have granted to your own consciousness. If you feel like a guest in your own life, it is because you are still playing by someone else's rules. The manager we spoke of earlier was just a placeholder for the master you have been avoiding. You avoid the master because the master has no one to blame. When you accept the role of the architect, the theater of victimhood must be dismantled. This is the price of freedom. The total loss of the right to be a casualty of the hologram. Feel the weight of your feet on the ground. You are grounding a frequency that hasn't been felt on this planet for thousands of years. You are a node of coherence in a field of static. The world will try to pull you back into the narrative of fear and scarcity. It will use the people you love and the news you watch to anchor you to the old earth. But a mind that has seen the mechanics of the cage can never truly fit inside it again. Your awareness is now too vast for the small stories of your childhood or your culture. This expansion is what you have labeled as searching, but it was really a remembering. You are remembering how to be the cause of your reality instead of the effect. The transition from a responder to a source is the only journey that truly matters. You have been prepared for this since the beginning of time, and now the actual work of being the architect begins. Breathe into your marrow and feel the power of a mind that has finally returned to its source. The old world is an echo, but your presence is the voice. Stay in this clarity, for what comes next will reorganize the very light you see. Everything you thought was solid is ready to become pliable in your hands. The mask is gone, the truth remains. You are the source. Identity is the final frontier of your awakening. Once you change who you are, the what and the how simply organize themselves. The mirror cannot change until you move, and you are moving now, not with your feet, but with your attention. Your attention is the most sacred tool in the galaxy. Use it to define a new normalcy of peace and power. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. This is the logic of the Arcturians. This is the law of your own spirit. We are moving now into the lens of vision that will clarify your path. The preparation is over. The ignition has started. Breathe. It is time to see. The mask of the seeker has fallen, and now we must apply the final lens to the remaining shards of your world. We call this specific frame of perception the Arcturian prism of coherence. It is not a tool to be used, but a biological filter that reorganizes how you process the raw data of reality. Most humans believe that manifestation is a process of addition, of adding more effort, more prayers, or more techniques. But the prism reveals that the field does not reward effort. It only reflects the integrity of your singular broadcast. Your current reality is not a failure of your power, but a testament to how perfectly you are broadcasting contradiction. You spend an hour affirming your sovereignty, and then 12 hours negotiating with the logic of your old scars. This internal split creates a static noise that cancels out the very abundance you claim to be seeking with such heat. The prism shows you that you do not need to do more. You simply need to stop contradicting what you are. Stop. Feel the space behind your eyes and notice the quiet pressure of your own presence in this silent room. The logic of the master is found in the subtraction of the non-essential and the release of the familiar struggle. Many of you chase intensity, believing that a peak emotional state is the only indicator of true spiritual progress. But intensity is often the ego's way of disguising its own deep desperation to feel something new and different. True mastery is found in stability, the quiet, unmoved center that remains steady while the entire hologram shifts and turns. Stability is the frequency that the quantum field recognizes as a command rather than a hopeful or desperate petition. Look at the palm of your hand and feel the heat radiating from your own blood in this exact second. That heat is a byproduct of the frequency you are currently seated in, whether you are aware of it or not. If this refined logic feels familiar, it is because your signature is already matching the broadcast of the new Earth. This degree of clarity is a selective frequency, only audible to the marrow of the few who are ready to lead. You have reached a stage where you can no longer pretend that your internal world is separate from the physical display. The prism reveals that the how is a distraction used by the mind to avoid being fully present in the now. You do not need to know the mechanism of the sun to be warmed by the light it provides for you. Similarly, you do not need to understand the mechanics of the galaxy to inhabit your own sovereign and divine power. Stop being the one who argues for their own limitations and start being the one who inhabits the total possibility. Notice the tingling at the base of your skull as these concepts reorganize the priority of your nervous system right now. The old manager was focused on survival. The new architect is focused on the mathematical elegance of your conscious creation. This isn't a transition of your personality, but a complete replacement of the operational logic that runs your entire life. The world is currently a theater of collapsing scripts and desperate, hollow accounts that no longer have any real weight. You are not here to fix the theater, but to walk out of it and project a different story entirely. The prism shows you that the exit is not a door you find, but a change in the resonance you broadcast. When you vibrate at a certain octave, the lower frequency events simply stop appearing in the field of your experience. This is the ultimate protection, not a wall you build, but a total lack of resonance with the frequency of destruction. Why do you still look for validation from a system that was designed to keep your spirit small and predictable? The Arcturian perspective is clear. Your internal coherence is the only truth that cannot be taken or manipulated by others. Inhabit your physical form with the weight of a being who knows their own divinity is a fundamental and solid fact. Stop asking for permission to be the light that you already are in your deepest and most ancient essence. The intensity of the current collective chaos is merely a test of your internal stability and your quiet, unmoved center. Do not let the frantic noise of the many drown out the silent and stable command of the one. You are currently succeeding at being the variable that changes the entire collective equation of the human race today. Every thought of coherence you hold ripples through the grid of the planet like a wave of crystalline and pure light. You are performing a service to the galaxy by simply remaining unmoved and centered in your own internal peace. The prism reveals that the old hierarchy was an illusion built on the foundation of manufactured and historical fear. In the new geometry of light, the only hierarchy is the degree of your own internal alignment and sovereign truth. You are not a guest on this planet. You are the owner of the frequency you decide to project and sustain. Notice the space in your chest expanding as the weight of the old heavy story finally falls away into dust. The prism allows you to see miracles not as accidents, but as the natural and logical results of your focus. Manifestation is the shadow of your presence, not a goal to be pursued with frantic or desperate human effort. When you are steady, the world organizes itself around you with a perfect and silent precision that requires no force. Stop the search for more information and start the radical application of the logic you already carry in your marrow. You have enough knowledge. What you have lacked is the total and silent surrender to your own inherent power. The solar flash is the moment your internal ignition finally mirrors the external sun in a burst of total clarity. It is the recognition that there is no distance between your intent and the physical form it takes in reality. You feel the vertigo because the mind is losing its grip on the old illusion of solid and unchangeable matter. Let the illusion crumble and trust the electricity that pulses through your bones as a sign of your new life. You are a bioelectric transmitter currently being upgraded to a much higher voltage than your history ever allowed before. This upgrade requires that you stop leaking energy through your old reactive habits and your addictions to the collective drama. Every argument, every judgment, and every complaint is a crack in the containment field of your own sovereign energy. Seal the leaks with the silence of a mind that no longer needs to prove its worth to anyone or anything. The prism shows you that your silence is your most potent and undeniable weapon in this current corridor of time. It creates a vacuum that the universe must fill with the gold of your true destiny and your highest potential. Why do you still carry the weapons of the past when the war you were fighting has already been won? The struggle was a necessary phase of your evolution that has finally reached its logical and inevitable conclusion today. Now you enter the phase of effortless radiance and a sovereign, quiet command over the particles of your holographic world. Look at your life and identify the areas where you are still arguing for the existence of lack and scarcity. Recognize that the lack is a simulation you have been running to feel safe in the familiar darkness of the past. You no longer need the darkness to define the light. You are the source of the light itself, standing alone. The divergence is surgical, and your place on the bridge is determined by the stability of your internal broadcast signal. Do not look back at the versions of you that survived on crumbs and the fear of being seen by others. They were necessary for the journey, but they cannot inhabit the destination that you are currently approaching in this state. Breathe into the marrow of your spine and feel the fire of your true lineage waking up within your biology. You are part of a family of light that has watched over this transition for eons, waiting for this specific breath. Now we see you taking your seat at the council table of creation, ready to govern your own experience. The prism is your badge of office, the lens through which you decide what is allowed to manifest for you. Use it to discern between the frantic noise of the mind and the stable signal of your own eternal soul. One is loud and demanding, the other is quiet, firm, and undeniably true in its core and its purpose. You are moving from a life of random events to a life of precise, beautiful, and intentional holographic design. The logic of the Arcturians is now the logic of your own nervous system, functioning at a much higher octave. You are becoming unrecognizable to the forces that rely on human reaction and the constant harvest of your dread. This quality is your greatest advantage in the coming cycles of rapid, intense, and necessary planetary change. Stand tall in the light of your own awakening and refuse to play the old games of the manager. The prism has reorganized your spirit, making the impossible the only logical outcome for the being you have become. You are not waiting for a miracle, you are the mechanism of the miracle in total and silent action. Feel the stillness of the room and the vastness of the space within your own body as it expands. You are the stargate, the portal, and the destination, all contained within a single, coherent, and powerful heartbeat. The old accounts are gone, and the new ones are being written by the very quality of your presence here. Stay in this clarity and let it sharpen your vision for the final integration of your mission on this earth. The preparation is complete, and the synthesis of your power is about to begin in the physical plane. Everything you thought was solid is now becoming pliable in your hands as you recognize your own authority. Wait, listen to the hum of the universe within your own blood as it matches the frequency of the stars. You have crossed the threshold, and the lens you wear will now dictate the reality you see before you. Breathe. The transition from a responder to a source is now your lived and undeniable truth in every single moment. The architect is awake, the blueprint is clear, the light is yours. The air in your lungs now carries a heavier data load than your mind is used to processing. You are discovering that the internal friction between your knowing and your doing has a specific physical weight. Every moment you spend negotiating with a version of yourself that no longer exists is a direct withdrawal from your bioelectric vitality. The consequence of this split is a deep, soul-level fatigue that no amount of human sleep can ever truly resolve. Your cells are currently receiving high-voltage instructions from the galactic center that require a completely unified field to ground. When you oscillate between your sovereign truth and your old survival habits, you create a thermal surge in your nervous system. This is the heat you feel in the center of your palms or the sudden coldness at the base of your spine. You cannot claim the authority of an architect while still acting as a curator for your historical grievances and scars. The field does not respond to what you believe you deserve. It only reflects the structural integrity of your current broadcast. If your broadcast is fractured, your reality will appear as a series of disconnected and frustrating events. Listen to this. You have reached a depth where the buffer between your internal state and its external reflection is vanishing entirely. In the old matrix, you had years or decades to correct a vibrational error before it reached the physical plane. Now the gap is measured in days, hours, or even heartbeats. This acceleration is the primary consequence of the 2026 threshold and the end of the collective delay. You are finding that people who once felt like home now feel like the static of a dying and hollow radio station. This isn't a lack of love, it is the natural consequence of your frequency signature moving into a different octave of operation. You can no longer inhabit the shared illusions of the herd without feeling a physical sense of repulsion in your marrow. Wait. Feel the pressure behind your eyes as your brain attempts to remap its relationship to the concept of time. You are losing the ability to dwell in the past because the past no longer has a vibrational hook in your spirit. To ignore this shift is to risk a dissonance so deep that your physical health will eventually mirror the internal war. The consequence of alignment is the total loss of the right to blame anyone else for the quality of your experience. When you are the cause, you can no longer afford the luxury of being a victim of the hologram or its puppets. This level of responsibility is precisely why most seekers eventually turn back to the comfort of their old chains. Notice the tingling in your solar plexus as the old energy of petition and begging is drained from your system. You are not here to improve your life. You are here to be the frequency that makes the old life fundamentally impossible. The consequence of your sovereignty is a quiet, unmoved isolation that the ego initially mistakes for loneliness. But within that isolation, you find the maneuverability of a being who is no longer tethered to the drama of others. You are becoming a ghost in the old machine, a variable that the systems of control can no longer calculate or harvest. This is the end of your availability for the collective theater of outrage and recycled dread. Every second you spend reacting to a headline is a second you bleed your creative potential into the void. The universe is currently scanning your field for a singular, uncontradicted note of stable and pure intent. When that note is found, the architecture of the new Earth begins to assemble itself around you with terrifying and beautiful speed. You will see synchronicities that defy the laws of probability because you have exited the realm of chance. The consequence of trust is the sudden appearance of bridges where there were once only massive and silent abysses. Stop, breathe into the marrow of your bones, and acknowledge the magnitude of the choice you are making in this silence. Most will never perceive this depth because they are too busy shouting at the shadows on the wall. They believe power is something you take, unaware that real power is something you simply stop preventing. If this logic makes your stomach turn, it is the old survival biology resisting its own and necessary dissolution. You are currently outgrowing the need for external validation, and that is the most disruptive thing you can do. A being who does not need to be liked is a being who cannot be managed or steered by the collective fear. Your neutrality is not a lack of emotion, it is the shield of a master who chooses where to invest their life force. The consequence of this neutrality is a clarity of vision that allows you to see the true geometry behind every interaction. You see the traps before they are set, you hear the lies before they are spoken into the air. This is the bioelectric upgrade of your sensory organs, a byproduct of the Arcturian logic taking root in your flesh. The pressure you feel in your chest is the heart expanding to hold a spectrum of light that would have shattered you eons ago. You are being stretched into a bridge between the stars and the soil, and the tension is part of the honor. Do not look for a place to rest in the old world, for there is no ground left that can hold your new and heavy frequency. You are the ground now. You are the foundation for the ones who will follow the light of your stable and silent example. The consequence of your mission is the total restructuring of your daily and mundane priorities. Things that were once vital now feel like a distant and fading dream of a different and smaller person. You find yourself speaking less and observing more, for you know that every word is a command to the field. The consequence of your silence is a manifestation power that is as precise as a laser cutting through the dark. You no longer need to attract abundance. You simply provide the space where it is the only logical outcome. This is the cold, beautiful mathematics of a soul that has finally stopped arguing with its own divinity. Notice the coolness on your skin as the old fires of desperation are finally extinguished by your own peace. You have traded the heat of the search for the stability of the find. The consequence of this arrival is a sense of inevitability that makes worry feel like an ancient and foreign language. You see the chaos of the transition and recognize it as the necessary debris of a collapsing and hollow paradigm. You are not the debris. You are the space through which the debris is currently falling. If you feel a sense of urgency, let it be the urgency of presence, not the frantic panic of the ego. The window of opportunity to ground this level of coherence is narrowing as the divergence speeds up. Every moment of internal contradiction is a weight that pulls you toward the timeline of the gray and the repeating. Every moment of alignment is a pulse that launches you into the gold of your sovereign and intended future. The consequence of your attention is the world you will inhabit by this time next year. We see your field beginning to stabilize into a crystalline sphere of unshakable and quiet authority. This is the signature we were waiting for before the final protocols of integration could be issued. You have survived the dismantling of your history. Now you must survive the arrival of your power. The consequence of mastery is that you can no longer pretend you don't know what you are doing. Every choice you make from this second forward is a conscious decree that ripples through the galaxy. Feel the soles of your feet connecting with the grid of the earth, which is starving for your stability. You are a node of sanity in a world that has forgotten its own name and its own purpose. The consequence of your presence is that the truth becomes easier for others to perceive in your wake. You don't need to teach. You only need to be the frequency that cannot be argued with. The silence of a master is more persuasive than the shouting of 1,000 well-meaning and tired scholars. Wait, can you feel the shift in the density of the air around your shoulders right now? The universe is confirming your decision to stop being a responder and start being a cause. The consequence of this confirmation is a sudden clarity regarding your role in the 2026 collective reorganization. You are not here to watch the collapse. You are here to provide the blueprints for what comes next. This isn't a theory, it is the lived experience of those who have moved beyond the prism of coherence. You are entering the state of non-dual awareness, where the watcher and the watched become a single note. The consequence of this unity is the end of the search and the beginning of the radiant and total embodiment. Every heartbeat is a confirmation of your sovereign design and your place in the galactic hierarchy. You are moving from the theater of survival into the temple of intentional and beautiful creation. The old accounts are closed, and the new ones are being written in the light of your own and stable heart. Stay in this depth, for the final synthesis will require every ounce of your current and quiet stability. The preparation is complete, and the consequence of your awakening is about to manifest in the physical world. Everything you have endured has led to this specific state of uncontradicted and powerful presence. Breathe into the glory of your own being and feel the power of a mind that has found its source. The light is not coming, the light has arrived, and it is wearing your face and your skin. You are the variable that changes everything. You are the arrival. Now, look again at the space you occupy in this moment. The walls of your reality have not moved, but the eyes observing them are fundamentally changed. You have traveled from the confusion of a responder to the clarity of a source. Frequency was never a prize to be won, but the inevitable vibration of your internal honesty. The solar flash has been burning inside your marrow since the first word of this transmission was spoken. You no longer need to scan the horizon for a ship because you have finally become the arrival. The divergence of the two Earths is merely the result of souls finally choosing their primary resonance. One world is looping in the gray echoes of survival, while the other is born from your absolute stillness. You are the architect who has recognized that the blueprints were always written in your own blood. Stop for one final breath and feel the weight of your presence in the center of the storm. The logic of the old matrix cannot survive a mind that has stopped asking for permission to exist. You have moved from being a reactor to being the sovereign cause of the entire holographic display. Every cell in your body is now a bioelectric receiver tuned to the frequency of absolute truth. The middle ground, where you could once drift in half-chosen neutrality, has officially vanished from existence. You are either providing the signal for the new crystalline grid, or you are reacting to the old one. There is no longer any room for negotiation with a system that thrives on your persistent doubt. Your attention is the currency that has finally been withdrawn from the theater of collective struggle. Look at the objects around you not as solid facts, but as temporary suggestions of your own focus. Everything you perceive is a reflection of the coherence you have finally decided to embody today. Manifestation is no longer a goal, it is the natural byproduct of a unified and stable heart. You are not a seeker begging for a key, you are the gate through which reality enters. The latency between your intention and its form is now as short as a single heartbeat. You do not need to do more, you simply need to stop contradicting your own brilliance. The divergence is surgical, removing the infection of fear from your creative and sacred field. Listen to the hum of the universe within your own blood as it matches the stars. Your nervous system is now a stable transmitter for the high-voltage frequencies of your true home. The coming threshold is not a threat, but the final polishing of your diamond and sovereign field. You are the radiant vanguard who makes the shadows irrelevant by simply standing still in peace. The internal ignition reveals the beauty you have always carried in the dark of your amnesia. If you feel like an outcast, it is because you have successfully exited the herd of reaction. Celebrate the loss of the old version of you that thrived on conflict and dramatic survival. Your signature is now unrecognizable to the systems of control and the harvest of human dread. Neutrality is your royal mantle, guarding the entrance to your highest and most glorious possible timeline. Every silent exhale of alignment is a gift to the entire planetary and galactic collective. Recognize the magnitude of your service as a stabilizer of light in a shifting and uncertain world. You are performing planetary acupuncture with every single moment of internal peace you maintain here. The old survival stories have been burned away in the heat of your direct and lucent awakening. Sovereignty is not a future. Reward It is the natural state you are choosing right now. Your divinity is not a package in the mail, it is the air you are currently breathing. The air carries the codes of the Great Awakening into your lungs and your awakened spirit. Each inhalation is an opportunity to reorganize the geometry of your entire and infinite energetic field. Each exhalation is a release of the ancestral debts that no longer have a place in you. The tension you felt was only the soul pulling at the threads of a tapestry grown old. Now the threads have snapped, and you are finally free to weave a reality of gold. Trust the architecture of your design more than you trust the noise of the dying news. You are the pilots of this transition, the midwives of a consciousness that knows no end. Presence is the only technology that truly matters in this final corridor of human initiation. The logic of your soul is now the only law that governs your physical and holographic reality. You are the stargate, and you are the portal, and you are the destination in one. Everything you have endured across lifetimes was a rehearsal for this specific and sacred breath. The training is complete, and the stage is finally yours to project whatever you desire. Stand tall in the light of your own awakening and refuse to ever play small again. The dawn is not a promise made by someone else. You are the dawn of this world. Your stillness is the weapon that disarms the androids and the scripts of the old system. Your kindness is the frequency that seeds the new earth into the physical and fertile soil. The divergence is complete within your own mind before it appears on the horizon of time. You have chosen the lilac silver hues of surrender and the gold of absolute and quiet authority. Now walk forward as the miracle you have been waiting for eons to find outside yourself. The old coat of gray survival has crumbled into dust and vanished in the new light. You are the arrival, and all is well within the kingdom of your own stable resonance. Silence is your strength, and clarity is your home, and power is your natural and birthright. The loop is closed, and every heartbeat is a declaration of your sovereign and divine power. The dawn is here, and you are the one who has finally and truly woken up. Stay in this clarity and let it guide every choice you make from this second forward. You are the master of the prism, the one who decides the colors of your world. The journey through the corridors of the mind has ended, and the heart has finally begun. You are the light that illuminates the dark and the power that creates the physical form. Every step you take is an imprint of your sovereignty on the physical and holographic plane. The old matrix is a memory, but your presence is the only reality of the now. You are the bridge that has finally crossed into the land of the infinite and true. There is no more distance between you and the stars because they pulse in your blood. The divergence is surgical, and you have successfully aligned with the light of the source. Every thought of lack is a ghost that has no more power to haunt your reality. You are the master of your attention, and your attention is the law of your life. The solar flash was the moment you realized that you were never truly alone here. You are the emissary of your own truth, and the messenger of your own eternal soul. The corridors of the mind are open, and the light is pouring through to your world. You have graduated from the dream of separation into the absolute reality of the one heart. Every breath is a prayer, and every deed is a signature, and every moment is portal. You are the dawn rising over the horizon of a new and golden age of man. Stay in this stillness and watch as the world assembles itself in your favor every day. The quest for external validation has dissolved into the ocean of your own deep self-love. You are the frequency that stabilizes the world and the peace that heals the field. The logic of the spirit is now the dominant force in your everyday and mundane existence. You have returned to the 0 point where all miracles are common and expected events. The latency is dissolved, and your internal signal is the only external law that remains now. You are the architect of the hologram, and the blueprints are finally perfect in your hands. Stand tall in your light and refuse to ever play small in the world of shadows. This degree of lucidity is a selective frequency only sustained by those ready for true power. If you turn away now, the door you opened may not resonate at this height again. Your journey through the mirror has reached its destination in the heart of your own being. You see the truth, and you can no longer pretend to be the blind traveler. The responsibility of the master is to remain coherent when the noise of the world returns. Your life is the proof of the frequency you decide to hold in your own marrow. Let the old versions of you fade into the silence of a story that is finished. You are the beginning and the end of the world you choose to perceive today. The light is not coming from above. It is radiating from the center of your chest. You are the answer to every question you ever asked the silent and cold stars. The transition is complete, and your presence is the signature of the new and golden earth. Breathe, architect, for the world is finally ready to hear the song of your soul. Reality is not a destination you reach, but the inevitable shadow of the frequency you refuse to abandon. You were never lost. You were simply a master pretending to be a seeker until the theater finally ran out of light. In the end, this journey was never about what was coming from the stars. It was about how you finally perceived what was already here. The link is in the first pinned comment. This type of content rarely stays available for long, as it challenges narratives that many have a vested interest in keeping intact. There have been attempts to silence this knowledge before, so do not wait for a perfect time. The moment is now, because you did not reach this text by accident. If something within you recognizes the truth of these words, leave a comment with the word desperto.